Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brandon Marshall. I am with Mayor John Cooper's office, and I'm just here to give you the list of speakers at today's press conference. We'll begin with Mayor John Cooper, followed by Judge Melissa Blackburn, followed by District Attorney General Glenn Funk, and then followed by Public Defender Martisha Johnson. Can everyone hear me? Okay. All righty. I'll turn things on over to Mayor Cooper.
All right, thank you, Brandon. I hope everybody can hear me. It is so good to be here with each of you on what an amazing day. And not only the weather, but on this announcement. It's been a priority of mine to ensure that people with mental health conditions get the care they need when they need it most. And Partners in Care is an example of that. And I want to thank Judge Blackburn, District Attorney General Glenn Funk, Public Defender Martisha Johnson, and Sheriff Darren Hall. And together they've been outstanding partners in helping Metro make today's important commitment to court-based mental health services. Now, they know it's a goal of mine and all of us standing here today to decriminalize mental health conditions and to ensure that people have access to care. And I'd especially like to acknowledge Dr. Gil Wright of the Metro Public Health Department and for the work that he and his team do to advance this goal through data analysis, reporting, and improving systems. And by joining forces with Davidson County's Task Force on Competency and Well-Being, we've been able to identify specific recommendations to connect individuals that have mental health conditions to the care that they need to help them out, to get out of the criminal justice system. And I'm proud to announce that we are investing $600,000 in mental health services in Davidson County court system, in fiscal year 23. And as the task force report discusses, 60% of individuals with low-level offenses, misdemeanor charges, who have been deemed incompetent to stand trial. So 60% of the individuals with misdemeanors who have been deemed incompetent to stand trial are re-arrested within 90 days. And this investment will be critical in getting people struggling with mental health conditions then the services and aid that they need. And that will allow our law enforcement and criminal justice system to focus on keeping Nashville families safe and reducing crime across the city. Now, the task force's work, I'm grateful very much to this group, also revealed that 30% of the population suffering from mental illness who were part of the study were also unhoused and part of Nashville's homeless population. By making this commitment today, we make it possible to connect individuals who are homeless with assistance and to have the proper resources to be healthy and stay off the streets. This frees up our court system to be more effective and our tax dollars to be spent more efficiently. And after today, we will turn our attention to implementing some of these recommendations. And I'm pleased to announce that my office has secured specialized support from the SAMHSA, S-A-M-S-H-S-A, the SAMHSA's Gains Center, to create a successful process to accomplish that. And I want to thank Judge Blackburn, her colleagues, and the task force, the whole task force on competency and well-being, for providing these recommendations so that we can fulfill a promise to the residents of Davidson County. Now I want to thank Dia Cirillo, who's been instrumental in supporting the task force. I'm grateful for the work she has done to address the need for more mental health services in Metro Nashville. And we are investing in solutions to make a difference for individuals with mental health conditions. Now that's for the court system and for the whole Metro community. And now I would like to turn the mic over to our invaluable partner in this work, Judge Melissa Blackburn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper. Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. As the mayor said, I'm Judge Melissa Blackburn of the Davidson County Mental Health and Veterans Treatment Court. In April of 2021, several nurses going to work to provide life-saving care during the pandemic were attacked in the elevators of their workplace. Their assailant had been deemed incompetent to be charged or held for the crime. As a result of this incident, many of us who serve in the criminal justice system came together with the understanding of a simple truth. Our system isn't working, either for those with mental illness or for public safety. I believe those of us whose positions are at the intersection of criminal justice and mental health have a responsibility. We are responsible to those among us whose mental health challenges endanger themselves and the community. For the last 8 years, my work as the mental health court judge has allowed me to see the pain and damage these challenges can leave, not only on the person directly affected, but on the families and friends. While we have been successful in helping those who qualify for our program, state policy and budget constraints have limited our ability to reach many in the population we are addressing today. In response to the events last year, I convened a task force of mental health care providers along with the public defender, the district attorney, and the sheriff to respond to this issue. Over several months, we looked at profiles of people cycling through our system with no outcome and really no hope. The report we are presenting today is the result of that work. We are here to announce the results of our research with the release of the task force report and to announce the steps we will take to address this growing problem. The initiative we are announcing today is the first of its kind. It represents a historic investment by Metro in the largest expansion of mental health services in decades. We're also here to thank Mayor Cooper and his staff for their support in crafting this report and making the investment to assist some of Nashville's most vulnerable citizens. Thank you, Mayor Cooper. Bringing this population out of the shadows and fulfilling our basic duty as a community to care for those who cannot care for themselves will benefit the people we will serve on the new docket in mental health court, and it will benefit the public. I want to thank my partners on the task force, as well as Mayor Cooper, for making it possible to address this long neglected need in our community. Now, I'm pleased to introduce District Attorney Glenn Funk. Thank you, Jennifer.
I'm District Attorney Glenn Funk, and let me just first describe the problem that led us to where we are today. Mental health is an issue that we've been dealing with for the last decade with regards to mental health courts and the Sheriff's Behavioral Care Center. First cousin to that, mental health, is cognitive delays to whether or not someone is competent to stand trial. The Constitution says that if somebody does not understand the role of their defense attorney, the role of the prosecutor, the role of the judge, then they cannot assist in their defense and the courts cannot put that person to trial. That's what our Constitution says. Those are the protections in our Constitution. And so what do we do if somebody has a cognitive delay, or maybe they've had a car accident and they've had a traumatic brain injury and they no longer can comprehend what's going on in the court system? What happens when that person commits an offense or hurts someone, vandalizes an area, gets themselves arrested? What happens then? Well, for decades, what happened was the state would pay to send folks out to the Middle Tennessee Mental Health Institute for a 30-day stay to try to restore competency, give therapy, counseling, maybe even medication, and then provide a report to the courts about whether or not the person had been restored to competency and the case could go forward. And sometimes the state would not even go forward because once they were restored to competency, maybe they understood and they wouldn't actually continue to reoffend. But about 15 years ago, in order to save money, the state of Tennessee, our legislature said they would only pay for those type services if the person had committed a felony. And they were going to leave it up to the local jurisdictions to pay for any competency training for misdemeanors. What Nashville did at the time is the same thing that pretty much every community across the state did at the time, and they said, well, we'll have folks evaluated, a 2-hour evaluation to determine whether or not they're competent or not, and we will send that report to the courts, but we won't actually spend the money to restore competency or provide any type of training or housing for folks. And so the court would get that, and the judge would look at the prosecutor and say, well, you can't go forward, and so we're going to dismiss the case. That's been a real problem. It's been a problem for over a decade and a half. And so what's happened is we have continued to see cases where individuals who have competency issues have gotten arrested and rearrested and rearrested and have to be released very quickly and usually released back out onto the streets, and far too often then rearrested within a matter of days, sometimes weeks. So we finally got traction last year after a high-profile case happened. And we were able to get folks to pay attention to what the Public Defender's Office, Judge Blackburn, the district attorney, what I'd been saying we needed to address. And we formed a task force and we got to work. The first thing we did is we did a census of how many folks actually have a diagnosis there where they've already been deemed to be incompetent to stand trial. And depending on the time of the year, in Nashville, those numbers were between 170 and 229. So it's a finite number, but it's a fairly large number. And then we worked to try to figure out what can we do to provide services to this population, because it's needed, it's necessary, because it's not right for the community at large to have to endure assaults or vandalism, right? Low-level crimes, because they're all misdemeanors. If it was a felony, they'd go to MTMHI anyway. But even more importantly, it's not fair to the citizens that need the services to just be ignored, processed through the court system, kicked out onto the street without any chance of being able to have a better life. Right? What we have done over the last year with the task force and with working with the mayor's office is finally said, you know what, Nashville is not going to ignore this problem anymore. And I'm proud to live in a city where we are dedicating resources, not from the state, not from the federal government, but we're investing our own money to support our own citizens and the safety of our own community. That's a credit to Mayor Cooper, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate him. It's a credit to Melissa Blackburn, who has been a real leader in this effort. It's a credit to Sheriff Hall, because he's stepped up and provided resources himself. It's also a credit to our public defender, Martisa Johnson, who has been she and her office have worked with us every step of the way, because she knows that if we cannot prosecute a case, it's wrong to keep somebody incarcerated for any amount of time. So we've had to work together to solve this problem and come up with innovative solutions. Right. I'm excited that we're here and making this announcement today. I'm excited about the fact that this money is going to be included in the next budget. It is an important first step, and it's a large first step. And I can't wait to see where we go from here. Next person's going to talk, Martisa Johnson, our public defender. Thank you.
Thank you. It is very important for the Public Defender's Office to be a part of the solutions and resources conversation. So we are pleased to have been a part of the task force that addressed and looked at these issues. My career as a public defender has shown me that people experiencing behavioral health concerns and mental health crisis are overrepresented in the jails and prisons. Because we have not historically appropriately resourced behavioral health needs, particularly for those who are experiencing poverty, the jail has become our major mental health facility. We have turned to long probation sentences and revolving doors in the criminal legal system for answers to a problem that should be handled in a preventive fashion. This investment by our mayor is an important step towards recognizing that in order to decriminalize mental illness and behavioral health concerns, we have to do so with resources that will focus on prevention, intervention, and continuing care for those in our city who need it the most. What we know from our clients is that mental illness, addiction, and poverty have been so connected to many of their experiences in life. And those issues are not solved by a punitive and harsh criminal legal system. So we look forward to continuing to be a partner in this conversation, continuing to talk about how we will spend this historic investment in ways that will focus us on a change in the way we have historically treated people who have mental health issues, who have behavioral health concerns, who find themselves in crises, and who need our support before they ever make it to the stairs of the criminal justice system. We look forward to the days ahead, and as the public defender, I will continue to be a part of this conversation. I will continue to make sure that our values are around remembering the people who suffer from these illnesses and who are finding themselves in these crises. And I will make sure that our focus will be on really decriminalizing this issue and focusing on different ways than we have done it traditionally. So thank you, and I guess I kick it back to Mr. Marshall.
Thank you so much. I just want to keep everyone on time, so we'll try and, right now we'll do the Q&A if anyone has any questions, but we'll try and get out, end this conference around 2 o'clock. So if we have any questions, we can start. Okay, so the question is, where's the money going? And I can have Dia Cirillo with the mayor's office answer that question.
Thank you, Brandon. Hi there, I'm Dia Cirillo, Senior Policy Advisor with the Mayor's Office. There will be $600,000 in the fiscal year 23 budget for Metro Nashville. About $360,000 will go to what is known as competency restoration programming. About another $250,000 goes to staffing resources to help ensure that we have a new approach to this population, to support this population and coordinate care for them, whether it's directly in mental health services or community-based services. So the $600,000 allocation for fiscal year 23 will go directly to the mental health court and will be presided over by Judge Blackburn, but it's also in partnership with the Public Health Department, who will be supporting the effort through data analytics. Brandon?
Any other questions? Yes. It's for the mayor's office? Okay. What's your question? Okay, I will answer that after this press conference. We just want to try and keep the questions to this press conference for today. But thank you.
Yes. Based on the numbers that Sheriff Hall has given me, it's $250 a night to house someone that has a mental health need in the jail. It's approximately $120 for a regular inmate. And I can tell you the Mental Health and Veterans Court in year 2019, and I'm using that because we all know 2020 was crazy, the Mental Health and Veterans Court saved Davidson County over $10 million in jail nights, based on the Mental Health and Veterans Court and our ability to have people in transitional housing and out of jail. So this approach is much more cost effective for individuals because these individuals will not be cycling through the jail, we hope. We hope instead of picking up new crimes, they'll be in transitional housing, which will be a supported housing. And one of the two positions that this will involve will be a client specialist, a manager that will take care of where they are, know if they're taking their medication, are they going to their appointments, and one-on-one knowledge of each of these individuals as they come through this court. That number was based on research that was done from October of 19 through June of 21. That was the census we came up with during that period. So it's a number that will change, obviously. Would not surprise me if the number grows based on the population of Nashville.
Okay.
I didn't hear the last part of your question. You know, what's really important is that we focus an investment on preventing people from ever making it to the criminal legal system in the first place. That requires, you know, an extremely deeper dive than what we have the resources for today. I think the investment itself allows us the opportunity to, one, recognize that the way we've done it in the past hasn't been successful. Sending people in a revolving door in and out of the jail hasn't been successful. Putting people in situations where they, you know, if you have had many, many years of inability to on your own receive mental health treatment, you can't afford it because you're poor, then providing an investment where we can say we understand that this is a behavioral health issue and we want to try to help people and humanize the issue that they face rather than send them through this very harsh criminal legal system that is not going to cure the issue, then that I think is the ideal situation for us. To directly answer your question about whether I think the courts are going to be the right answer, I think I can assure you that as the public defender, I'll make sure that we try and make that the case. I think that I speak exactly for my clients and for the work that I've done in this city, and I bring that perspective to me. And my colleagues, General Funk and Judge Blackburn, know that I will be a very loud advocate for what's the right way to handle this in our courts.
Yes. Will the funding for this announcement be used in the Partners in Care program? I know the answer to that, but I'll have Dia respond.
So simply no, there will be other fiscal year 23 investments for Partners in Care.
All right, thank you everyone for coming. Before we let you all go, I just wanted to acknowledge the task force members who are here to my right, and also thank you for our special guest speakers for participating in today's announcement. So with that, that is it. Have a good day.